You may remember that back at the beginning of the year we decided to tidy up this bed, which was full of couch grass, bindweed and all other sorts of weeds. Well, this is how it looks now. We're rather pleased with how it's filled out. The black elders were already in situ, we just cut them well back, and the only other things that we kept were the roses and some irises. It's hard to imagine that most of these plants were actually tiny plug plants only a few months ago, really. Just take you round the back and then we'll have a look more closely. Go a bit further back to get a good view. It's quite a big border. Took quite a bit of weeding. There's still areas of couch grass coming through and bindweed sneaking in among the plants, but I'm pulling those off as best I can. Right, let's have a look a bit closer at some of the plants. We've got Dahlia that we bought this year, a new Dahlia. I forget its name, I'll have a look up that later and add a note. Then down here we've got some ageratum, which I grew from seed this year. It's only an annual and I shall definitely grow some again next year. Oh, the other plants that we've still kept are the perennial cornflowers, which are on their second flowering. The little campanulas I actually acquired from an overgrown allotment. They were flowering in among the weeds, so I helped myself to one or two. The next plant, it's not actually flowering yet, but it's a blue Penstemon. We did have some nice poppies there, but they're finished now. Then got, I think it's an apeta, that. Moving on a little. We've got the remnants of what were some really beautiful lupins, and another plant that I forgot that we retained was that pinky coloured Penstemon that you can see. Then we've got some Chillea that I grew from seed this year, which is a perennial, so that will come again next year. And then another one that I grew from seed. I'm not sure how you say this, I think it's Dahlia. I think that's an annual, so I'll probably have to grow that again next year. We've also got some chrysanthemums that we may take into the greenhouse for overwinter. Then another Dahlia. No idea what this one is because it's not turned out to be the colour that we thought it was going to be when we bought it, so it's obviously not the variety we bought. Ah, here's the little blue Penstemon that's on flower. Pretty. And some dianthus, Sweet William, some more pink Penstemon there, and some more ageratum. Until I looked in the seed catalogues and found this tall growing ageratum, I always thought the ageratums were those little edging plants that you usually plant out in summer. There's another one, another Penstemon. Another Nepeta. The remnants of some more lupins. And we've got self-seeded poppies as well, which we just leave be. Some more perennial cornflowers. The seed heads on the self-sown poppies are really quite nice. Then we've got a rose called, I think it's Elyzorn or Elmzorn or something like that. I'll look that up and put a note. And then down here we've got some bearded irises, which didn't do anything this year because we replanted them this year. There's another rose. Again, I've forgotten its name, I shall have to look it up. I think it's Evelyn or something like that, I'm not sure. Under the roses you may be able to see something that you think are weeds. They're actually poached egg plants that haven't grown here for years, but they must have been lurking in the soil and now they're sprouting up ready again for this year. Ooh, there's some more. Some Montbretia, Crocosmia, some Echinaceas, which I don't think will last through the winter here, not on this heavy clay soil. There's another one through there. There should be some Monarda somewhere in here, but presumably it will flower next year. It's hidden in amongst all the foliage this year. And we've got another Dahlia. I think that one's called Franz Kafka. That actually came out the colour that we were expecting. Back there, that's a Dahlia that we overwintered and did know what variety that was. I'll have to look that one up as well. Some more Montbretia or Crocosmia lurking in here. There it is. And some Veronica. Some more Sweet Williams hiding in there. And another rose that I can't think of the name of. There's another rose hiding in here somewhere. There it is. It was chopped right down, so I don't know whether it will recover. Not to see. There's one down here that definitely won't fact, I can't even see the remains of the plant. Well, that's our perennial border. I think you will agree it looks quite different to what it did at the beginning of this year. Let's go and look at the annuals now. You may remember that this year I decided I'd grow my annuals directly into the plot rather than growing them in modules first. Limited success, but I think this has been more down to the weather and slug activity than anything else. Go past the plum trees. It's a nice little hibiscus we've got here. It didn't grow in the garden, so we brought it here and it seems to like it. So this is the annual border as it stands at the moment. Not too bad, but not as colourful as it was last year. The cosmos still have to shoot up. Some nice poppies. This is the more successful part. And just before we move on here, this is where I've planted or sown seed of some biennials. We've got Sweet William, Sweet Rocket and Wallflowers. Some are coming up. Sweet Rocket's looking quite good. The Wallflowers are a bit sporadic. And with the Sweet Williams, it's rather strange because we've two varieties, and the variety over at that side is coming up better than the one over at this side. You just have to give it time and see what happens. Moving over here, past the sweet peas, some of the sweet peas, and onto what you may remember was my overwintering flower bed, still with some flowers, looking a bit tatty now, and I did wonder about removing everything, but the bees are still really loving the cornflowers especially. And so I've left them. Probably can't find any now. The bees are camera shy. But there are some there somewhere. Can hear them buzzing. Well, let's just move on through here. And you may remember that last year I planted some late annuals. Well, I've done the same again this year. And here they are. There's some cosmos, I think some Clarkia, some Godetia, some cornflowers, some poppies. Well, they seem to be growing quite well now. If we just look over here, wouldn't you imagine that with a whole row of buddleias, which are going over a bit now, but have been full of flower, wouldn't you expect us to have some butterflies? But we haven't. It's the second year now we haven't noticed much in the way of butterfly activity other than the cabbage whites. Again, the bees love it, but not the butterflies. A lot of them flowers are going over now, but nothing. Then I may as well just take you to see the rest of our there's our nasturtiums in there. Not done that well, but they were just retrieved from all sorts of places in the garden, in the allotment I should say. I'm just going to take you now to see the other sweet peas. Whoops. That's Martin's camera. There they are. The Verbena bonariensis has gone absolutely mad this year. It's totally above head height. And some Crocosmia nasturtiums. And some campanulas that should be over by now but are still flowering. And then we have some carnations that I grew from cut flowers, just taking cuttings from the cut flowers. There's one or two here. There's another one that's nearly finished flowering just there. And twizzle around. Oh, and there's a nice one there. The globe artichoke. Again, it's much loved by bees, but because I'm filming there aren't any bees anywhere to be seen. And that's it. That's a roundup of the state of play on our allotment as far as the flowers are concerned. Hope to see you later.